What's up, everyone? This is Isaac from Heart Smash Fitness again. Just wanted to do a video on more tips for beginner lifters. So, tip number one, log your workouts. This may seem kind of counterproductive or doesn't fully make sense, but it's huge. Write down what you do in the gym. Even if you just go and sit on the exercise bike for 30 minutes, write it down. It's huge for later on looking back, seeing what you have been doing. You can judge your increases in volume or intensity, or even just measure how much you're lifting. If you write down what you're lifting, you can see, oh, when I actually was getting better at my squat, when my squat was getting stronger, this is kind of what I was doing to build up to that, and my body responded really well to it. This time when I've been trying to increase my squat, I've been doing this and it hasn't been responding as well. So you can kind of see the variations and figure out what may be best for your body, because everyone is built differently. Everyone reacts differently to similar stressors. So just a quick tip. In hand with that a little bit, tip number two, leave your ego at the door. So especially if you are newer to lifting, don't go and try and max out a lift. Go and try and figure out how to lift, okay? So this kind of goes in with the tip number three, where learn the basics. Learn how to squat, how to bench, how to deadlift, how to do a pull-up, how to do a push-up, all that sort of stuff. Focus on the simple movements, the basics, and figure out how to do those. You don't need to do a 1 rep max or even a 3 rep max early on in your training. So just figure out how your body moves, okay? So that's number two, leave your ego at the door. Number three, learn the basics. That goes a little bit into number four as well. Learn new things. Don't be afraid where if you're getting better at your squat, but you've never done a Bulgarian split squat or lunges or anything like that, or a hack squat, front squat, if all you've been doing is high squat or all you've been doing is low bar squat, don't be afraid to learn variations. However, don't just try to do it. Have someone show you how to do it, because you don't want to get hurt just goofing off in the gym, especially if you're trying it with heavier weight. Start with a lighter weight, something that you know you can handle, figure out the movement pattern, and then go from there. So it's number four, okay? Learn new things, but don't get caught up on them. Still focus. The basics are what's going to help you the most. Goes a little bit into number five. Feel your form. Okay, so this goes a little bit into learning the basics as well. There are some people who say the only way to squat is this way, or the only way to deadlift is this way. But everyone's built a little bit different. All of your levers are slightly different. Joint angles, etc. So anyone who tells you that there is only one way to squat doesn't know what they're talking about. So instead, what you need to do is figure out what works best for you, okay? Now, if you have an abnormality, if you have some sort of dysfunction, and I like using the squat just because everyone knows what it looks like. It's a pretty simple movement. Every time you sit down into a chair or stand up, that's a squat, okay? So, if you have something off with your squat, then you need to know why, okay? So if you try to correct it and it doesn't feel correct, something is probably out of balance in your body, okay? So you either have a weakness somewhere or some sort of instability that's causing that. Figure out why it doesn't feel right. Don't just try to force a movement that doesn't feel correct And don't just assume that if something doesn't feel right, then it's not right. You need to look at what you're doing, figure out why it may be correct and why it won't be correct. And that's another reason why finding someone who actually knows what they're talking about is very beneficial. Don't just talk to your teenage buddy who's spent 6 months in the gym and assume that he knows how to correct your spot. So, that's 5. Feel your form, okay? This is very important, especially with deadlift and squat. I feel like those in particular, if your hips are weak or something's not firing properly, it'll just feel off, and so you'll adjust, and it can make other things worse. So, that's 5 so far. Number 6, don't get caught up on the reps, okay? So if you are working on a program, a lot of people love to debate, is 5 reps better or is 6 reps better? Is 8 reps or 10 reps? 3 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 2? There's a lot of thought that goes into each of these, and there's pros and cons to each for what you're trying to do. I would say if you're a new lifter, don't get caught up into it. Find a program, start working on it, and go from there, okay? Don't get into the debate about whether 5 reps is better or 6 reps is better or 8 reps is better. Right now, that's not your focus. Right now, your focus is learning how to do the movement, okay? Learning how to do it correctly and safely. Safely is the key point there. So, that's 6. Number 7, body weight. Are you too big, too small, etc.? If you are a male and you're 6'2", and you're 160 pounds, you probably need to gain some weight. If you want to actually be doing any lifting of actual weight, you probably need to put some meat on your bones. If your goal is just to be a runner or a long distance cycler, you're probably fine. Because in that regard, being smaller is better, less wind resistance and so on and so forth. But if you're actually trying to squat heavy, if you're actually trying to increase your lifts, increase the performance of your different lifts, you will want to eat more and you will want to put on some weight. So, on the other hand though, if you're 280 and you're squatting 400 and you say, well, but to get stronger I need to gain more weight, so you increase your weight to 340 and now you're squatting 450, I would argue that your squat has actually gone down because proportionate to your body weight, it has not actually improved. So you want to be mindful of that. That yes, there are some benefits to being heavier, but you also want to be mindful of your frame. If you're 5'10 and 300 pounds, you're probably a little overweight. And no matter how you look at it, you should be cutting weight. So just something to keep in mind. Pay attention to your body weight. It's not the end all be all. But if you need to lose weight or if you need to gain weight, pay attention to that and know that either one is going to take some work. I find that gaining weight is usually more difficult for people just because usually the people, if you're skinny naturally, it's probably because you don't like to eat. And I feel like that is a harder trait to break than cutting back calories. Cutting back calories takes a little bit of time. You have to let your body adapt to being hungry and then get into this new rhythm of everything. Eating more, I feel like, is very counterproductive for most people. They just feel like it doesn't make sense in their mind. So, but yeah, if you're too big, too small, be mindful of that and do what you need to do to adjust that. And then my last tip, do some conditioning. if you're, I don't care if you're 150 pounds or 300 pounds and you're getting into strength training, you still need to do some conditioning. Now, a lot of powerlifters, a lot of strongmen don't do a lot of conditioning. They hate it. Just do some, okay? Do some sled pulls, some stationary bike, assault bike, something. Do 5 or 10 minutes at least. Just do something. Get your blood flowing. It's really good for you. It's good for your joints. Helps build up the synovial fluid. Gets everything loose and working. Yeah, just do some conditioning. But on the other side, don't overdo it, okay? Don't let a 10-minute assault bike ride turn into a 50-minute assault bike ride, because at that point you actually are losing your strength gains. You're running into the actual hypertrophy and strength gains that you can be building. So be mindful of that as well. Conditioning is really good. Don't overdo it unless, of course, your focus is conditioning. So anyways, those are just some quick tips for beginner lifters. If you have any more to add, make sure to add them down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Sorry I'm still a little congested. I still have the allergies and everything going on. So, but anyways, that's all for today. This is Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. Just remember to always improve that 1%. Thanks.